Hello everyone, this is Nikki Rowland and today I have a little teeny tiny mini book to share for simple stories. I'm using Spooky Nights collection, which is a Halloween style collection, and I was really inspired by the little 2x2 squares on the 2x2 4x4 elements sheet. So I just spent a little bit of time cutting them all up. There are 12 of them in total, and they are double-sided. So I think they're double-sided. Oh no, maybe they're not. The other side, sorry, is the pattern paper. But I have so many of them. I'm going to back them with each other. Does that make sense? So I'm going to sandwich some ribbon in between them all, and create this little tiny mini album using the 2x2 squares. So yeah, sorry, they're not double-sided at all. Just completely ignore that. Okay, so the plan is for each little page to be a 2x2 square with some ribbon sandwiched between another 2x2 square. So I'll be putting them back to back and then sandwiching the ribbon in between and creating a really long line using them. So I'm just going to set out exactly what I'm going to do, what order everything's going to go in, and I have got, there you go, they are all there now. I've just arranged them so I've got green ones backing green ones and orange ones backing orange ones, but it didn't work because they weren't all, I didn't have the right numbers, but it's fine. So if I want to show off these gorgeous little 2x2 squares, I won't have any room to put photos. So I decided to insert some black squares as well in between the coloured pretty ones, and I have done that just using black cardstock, and I've just cut 6 of those. So I've got 3 panels dedicated to photos, and you can see that I've got them in the middle and then I've got them to either end as well. So I've just distressed the edges of all of those little 2x2 squares and the edges of those 2x2 black squares as well. Okay, so I'm hoping that I'm going to move my camera up a little bit. Oh, there we go. You can just about see it. Oh, there we go. I do move everything up. Just changed my filming setup slightly, and everything needs to be a bit higher than usual. So I'm just getting used to that. Okay, so you can see exactly what I did there. I've cut a really long length of ribbon, and I've just applied adhesive to the back of one of the squares, put the ribbon across the middle, and then sandwiched it in between with another square that's going to go on top. And then you can see that I'll be able to fold these or concertina these with the ribbon, and the ribbon is going to hold them all together. So it's a really super simple mini album idea, so easy to do, nothing complicated at all there, no fancy tools required or anything, literally just tape, ribbon and scissors to cut up the squares in the first place. Okay, so let's get over this bit. It takes a little while to put them all together. But while I'm just putting this together, I'm going to just explain what I do off camera later in order to decorate and add more photos and overlays and things like that. So on the black squares, and the black squares only, I cut a piece of vellum 2 inches by 2.5 inches. And I scored at 1/2 inch so that I had a 2x2 square with a 1/2 inch fold on the top. And I did that, how many did I do? 1, 2, 3. I did 6 of those, and I undid the black squares that are prized apart, the black squares that I'd put together, and I tucked in the little folds in between the 2 black layers. And I did that on the front and the back of each one of the black squares. So all the black squares also have vellum overlays on the top of each one that lift up the layer, like kind of like a lift the flap, they lift up. Now the only problem I have with a concertina ribbon album like this, and I've made them before and had exactly the same issue, is that when you close up the album, they all just fall apart. So it doesn't hold it together, and you need to have ribbon in a different place in order to tie it together. You can't tie the 2 ends together and enclose it, if that makes sense. So I need another piece of ribbon, which I'm going to deal with in a minute. So right now I'm just dealing with my front cover. I really loved this little cute piece of ephemera from the Bits and Pieces kit. It's a haunted mansion house, and I've just drawn around it onto a piece of black cardstock so that I can back it with black. Because this album is a Halloween album and because I have black cardstock, it looks much better if the reverse is black instead of white. So I've just backed it with black. And off camera, I'm going to add glue around all of the little details on the house, so the front door, the windows, the roof panels, and add gold glitter to those sections, so it really sparkles and looks really super duper cute. Okay, you can see me here trying to work out and struggling with the ribbon closure. I really need to sort this out. I knew it was going to be a problem because I've made them before and I had exactly the same issue. But because the one I made before was going to sit in a pocket, it didn't really matter so much. But this one is independent, not going to sit in a pocket, so it needs to be held together with something. So I've kept my ribbon really long on both ends, and I need to figure out quite what I'm going to do. So my plan ends up being that the first concertina square is going to be stuck on the back of the back cover, so on the black section, black side of the haunted house bits and pieces. I've got the long piece of ribbon coming out from one side, that's fine, and then I need another long piece of ribbon coming out from the other side of that piece. Now at the moment I haven't added that. I'm just trying to see right now whether having the bit at the end and the first bit, if I can tie those together, will that work? The answer is no, it will still not stay together. So I just trimmed that little tiny piece at the end. Sorry, the small, it was I did have a long piece of ribbon there, but I've cut that off and made it really tiny with a little fork. But actually, in the end, I cut that off completely because it just got in the way. And now you can see that I've just added another piece of ribbon behind the panel that's going to be stuck on the back of my house, and now I have a piece of ribbon on either side of that will hold this little book together. So the closure is actually very little to do with the piece of ribbon that's holding all the pages together, but there we go. But it works very well in the way that you can now tie it round and keep the book closed, or contained at least. It can still fall out the bottom. Okay, so now I'm just thinking about a back cover, and I like the idea of using a piece of ephemera from the Spooky Nights bits and pieces, and I'm backing them back to back. I've got a little phrase, sorry, it's from the journal bits, and it's the Halloween frame or pumpkin frame, and on the other side it's got stars and a ghost, I think. So I actually stick those together, and that's going to turn into my back panel. But I end up sticking it to where it says there, boo to you. I end up sticking it to that panel, so you don't really see the reverse. But it's better that it was backed with another piece of ephemera rather than left white. So even though I kind of lost a piece there, that was the best way of putting it together so that it looked nice. Okay, so yeah, you can see that my little mini album is pretty much together now. I'm going to decorate it off camera, and I will come back with a flip through, which I will switch to in just a few moments. But there you go, you can see how easy it is to put back together. Oh, I've got a little problem there, just needed to, it wasn't on straight, so it just looked wonky, so just correct that quickly. I also added stitching to all of the squares. Right, I'm going to switch over to the flip through now. Right, so here is a flip through of the teeny tiny mini album. You can see it is very, very little. It just opens up here, and it's a very, very simple concertina. The ribbon has to go, the two pieces of ribbon have to go around the outside, so they're not part of the concertina, but the concertina is held together by ribbon as well. So that's a little front cover, and then say it's just just very easily opens up like that, but I will show it like this. And we have some little flip ups. The tree here I painted on the back so that it was black rather than white, and the stickers as well. And then this one, hope there's some enamel dots, and the bats, and another flip up. There we go. And another one. The flip-ups are just made of vellum. And there's some journaling on the back. And then we go back the other way. And flip up there. And the ghost with the little decorative brads. I didn't hand sew, I machine stitched around all of the edges as well of all of the squares. There we go, final flip up there, and that's it. All done. So it opens out like this. And then just folds away by backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Oh. And there we go. And then the ribbon ties around to secure it in place. There we go. Okay, so this is it all finished. I hope you enjoyed the completed album and seeing how it came together and how it was finished. But yeah, I stitched around all of the pages. I did those little vellum flip-ups, painted the back of those pieces of ephemera. Yeah, and just had great fun with this little album. You can see a lot of my little close-up images of the pages there, but yeah, each one was like a little mini layout by itself, you know, and they're only 2 inches square. Okay, yeah, I hope this inspires you to have a go at a little tiny mini album like this. Thank you very much for joining me today. That was Nikki Rowland for Simple Stories.